Joining me now from Mexico City is Beth Sheridan. She's the Washington Post Mexico correspondent. Beth, good morning. Glad you could be with us. First of all, let's talk about the arrest of that suspect who not only had a large amount of ammunition, but also apparently had a couple of hostages with him. Who is this person? What can you tell us?
So I'd be very cautious with that information. It seems that that person was arrested. There is a lot of organized crime activity in the area in which the killings occurred. Kidnappings are a problem. As of yet, there's no information that connects that individual to the killings of the Mexican-U.S. citizens. So it's someone who I think the authorities basically stumbled across. They're checking to see if he's involved, but so far there's no confirmation that he is.
Okay, that is good to know. So let's talk about where they are in the investigation and whether or not they believe that whether or not authorities believe the family was targeted, or if this was a case of mistaken identity, it was random. What do you know?
So far the investigation is in its early stages. The authorities are looking into activity by a variety of cartels that operate in that area and what kind of conflicts they may have been having. The latest word we've had is that the government still thinks perhaps it was a case of mistaken identity. There was not any threats that were known of to the family in recent weeks or months, but that's a question very much that's still open.
Have you learned anything about this family? There are reports that they have a history of speaking out about the criminal groups that plague the region.
That's true. And in fact, about a decade ago, one of the family members was kidnapped. The abductors asked for $1 million ransom. The family declined because on principle, they didn't, support this kind of activity. And the young man was eventually freed, but his brother was later killed, and the cartels made it clear that it was in retaliation. Other family members have been prominent in speaking out against the need to contain the violence that has grown in the north. But a lot of that activity was the threats that they received tended to be some years back. So we haven't heard of anything particular in the latest few months.
And what about this area where they were driving? Is it ruled by the cartels?
Yes, I would say cartels have a very strong presence. So you have it's sort of a border area. So you have groups that are linked to the Sinaloa cartel, to the Juarez cartel, and to a cartel from Jalisco that's been moving into the area. They want to have control of some of the routes for shipping drugs to the U.S. So it is an area with a lot of tension.
And we heard from President Trump saying that it's time to wipe these cartels out. I'm paraphrasing, and Mexico's president responded saying, we'll look after this. Who is in charge of this investigation? Are they relying on support from the United States, or are Mexican authorities doing this on their own, Beth?
So the Mexican authorities have said again today that they are open to sharing all the information they are finding with U.S. authorities, because these were dual citizens, and that they're open to the kind of cooperation that they would routinely have on matters that involve both countries. It is a high-level investigation. The foreign minister has a senior role in it, but the Mexicans are making clear that they really don't envision some situation in which they declare a war on drugs, or that the U.S. sends, armed forces or anything like that.
Okay, and final question for you. Have you been able to learn any new details about what the children went through and how they were able to survive?
There's just dramatic stories in which several of the children saw their mother gunned down and killed. And apparently one of the children, who's a 13-year-old boy, helped his younger siblings hide in the bushes. And then he walked over 10 miles to try to get help. So the kids just went through an extraordinary, tough experience.
All right, Beth Sheridan is with the Washington Post. Beth, thank you for that reporting. Really appreciate it.